Hey folks, this is Sinlock from PS3blog.net. This is the video portion of our review of The Force Unleashed 2. Going to be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and here we go. For those of you who haven't played the first Force Unleashed game, there were two key elements that were introduced that people have been wanting to do for a long time in Star Wars gaming. One of them was fluid use of lightsabers that just made it truly dynamic. Another thing was the use of the Force that just didn't feel constrained with just simple button pushes. Both of these things were introduced flawlessly, and they were brought over into The Force Unleashed 2 with many enhancements. Now, with the saber combat, this was amped up one more step by introducing Starkiller to a second lightsaber. One of the things that this does is it adds a true 360-degree threat range that he's able to engage enemies that are behind him without having to, re-manipulate the character to face in another direction, and it just brings a real seamless dynamic aspect to it, even more so than the first game. Now, in regards to the Force powers, pretty much everything just transitioned over exactly from the first game. A few minor steps back, but you pretty much start the game off as Starkiller in the end of the first game, pretty much maxed out. Now they've incorporated, a few new Force powers. The most notable would be Mind Trick, which you can use to get a stormtrooper or whatnot to either jump to their death or start fighting their allies. It seems like it was just thrown in there to bring in another element from the movie. And it's a relatively entertaining power, but in most circumstances, it's rather useless. Now, one of the other Force powers that was really revamped was the use of Force Grip, which, the Jedi uses to grab an object and manipulate it, essentially bash it against an enemy. It gives the Jedi effectively a ranged attack. And I think, the improvements that they did, it's not flawless, but I think it's gotten as good as it will ever be in a video game context. One of the other things that received a much needed improvement was the menu system. The menu system from the first game, it was slow, it was clunky, and just frustrating to use. That's been completely done away with. The new menu system, it's fast, it's intuitive, and it's just a much better user experience for a part of the game that most people don't even really think about. Next, we're going to talk about the visual quality that has been brought to this game that's just amazing. The graphics. Oh, the graphics. Now, Force Unleashed 1 was released in 2008, and it got some pretty darn good reviews based on its visual quality. And Force Unleashed 2 just steps up the game a bit more. They're not as fabulous as, say, Uncharted 2, but not many games can really hold up to that level. But the level design is beautiful. It's intricate. At times, it can feel a little cut and paste, like they're trying to draw the level out to seem a little bit longer than it truly is. But with what the artists did and the texturers, they did a fabulous job. They had a very, very rich palette. Each planet feels different. The depth and grittiness of the Imperial starships and, whatnot, great. Would have liked to have seen more. We only get to see a few worlds, even though there's multiple levels. Those levels are just repeated, so you only get to see a few locations. But those locations are fabulously executed, and one of the things that really made me feel good about the game. Alright, moving right along, we are going to get ready to launch into our next segment of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Some of you might be thinking, hey, why didn't he cover this good thing or that good thing? You know what? You're right. There's lots of stuff in this game that was great that I haven't mentioned or even touched on. But there's a lot of things on the game that I want to talk about that I didn't like. A lot of you didn't like it. So, moving on, here we go with the bad. Where the heck is everybody? I mean, Kamino's cloners have all been outsourced, and the Rebel flagship Salvation is apparently run by 7 droids and a squad of reservists. Now, Cato Nemoidia does have Nemoidians in a cutscene, but other than that, the levels are more sterile than they were in the first game. On top of that, for some odd reason, the folks doing PR for the game thought it was a good idea to brag that there were going to be less enemy types featured in the new game. But they were going to have more diverse attack patterns and a more diversified look. I guess that we will see that development in a future DLC package. Now, hopefully, with these DLC packages, and one has already been announced, they will add some more meat to those levels, because at times throughout the game, you do get the sensation that a level is being artificially stretched out to make it and the game as a whole feel longer than it truly is. Alright, gaming does require a strong suspension of disbelief, but towards the end of the game, you ride a deorbiting starship, jump out, free fall from space, and stick the landing. Okay, that pretty much wraps up this section of our review of The Force Unleashed 2. Now, on to our last segment, The Ugly. Now, during the ad blitz for The Force Unleashed 2, there were 2 characters that were featured as being major players in the storyline. They were Boba Fett and Jedi Master Yoda. Now, you must be like, dude, that's awesome! I mean, we finally get to fight Boba Fett like Mace Windu and Obi-Wan fight Jango in the earlier movies. No, you don't get that. Well, what about, like, do we get to fight him like Han does in Return of the Jedi when it's like 15 seconds and he falls into an anus in the sand? Nope. You don't get that either. But you do get something. Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. You get 2 cutscenes. So, Boba Fett cutscenes. Well, what about Yoda? In all the trailers, we get to see that Starkiller goes to Dagobah and meets Yoda. I mean, does Yoda, like, guide him down the path of the light side? No. Does he teach him, like, a cool new force power? Of course not. Well, then, what's Yoda do in the game? He tells him, hey, kid, go check out this cave. There's a really cool cutscene inside for you to watch. Yeah. More cutscenes. Oh, by the way, that whole Dagobah level takes about as long as it's taken me to tell you about it. About 3 minutes. Now, one of the things that's worse than that is how they've handled Vader. Darth Vader is the Emperor's Iron Fist. He's the bad guy that little kids want to be when they grow up. But in The Force Unleashed 2, he's more like a mustache-twirling villain with, little plots and silly mind games. minions that do his fighting for him. And then there's the end battle, where it's full of long, drawn-out talking and lots of running away. If I wanted to fight a villain like that, I would load up a Ratchet & Clank game and have a lot more fun playing it. The last thing I'm going to cover is the storyline, because Star Wars is about storytelling. The Force Unleashed 2's plot feels like it was the winner of a fan fiction contest written by Trekkies. Here's a quick rundown of what happens. Starkiller's risen from the dead. Vader tells him, "You're a clone." "Just kidding." "Yes, no, you are." Quick escape, and then a Boba Fett cutscene. Star Wars Las Vegas, where you fight a giant monster in a gladiator arena. Rescue General Coda, who's very surprised to see you. "I thought you were dead." "No, I'm not, but I'm most likely a clone." "You can't clone Jedi." Go to Dagobah, walk down a short little path. Find a green little troll who tells you, "Oh, go into the cave. Watch a video, you will." Leave Dagobah, find the Rebel fleet, cue the 1138 reference, then a Boba Fett cutscene featuring a kidnapping, chase, pane of glass, stop or I'll say stop again, fight a gigantic robot spider thing, then a giant explosion, boom! Spaceship surfboard down to the surface of Camino. Stick the landing, and then lots of corridors filled with easily defeated bad guys. Then, the finale. Darth Vader throws things. You win. He runs away. Platforming. Darth Vader and his clonies fight you. You win. He runs away. Platforming. Darth Vader stops running. Join the dark side or the woman dies. Okay. He kills Juno anyway. You two fight. You win. He yields. Then you get some choices. Good guy ending. You spare Vader. Hold Juno's dead body. She wakes up. "I thought that you were dead." "No, but I am a clone, honey." The two of you fly off in your spaceship with Vader locked up in the back. Boba Fett follows you. End of game. Bad guy ending. You swing to kill Vader. Phantom Starkiller sneaks up behind you, stabs you through the heart. You die. The rebels die. The rebellion dies. Everyone dies. Game over. Thanks for playing. Thanks for checking out our review of Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Be sure to stop by ps3blog.net for the latest PS3 news, game reviews, multiplayer game nights, and contests. I'm Sinlock, and we'll see you folks online.